review what we have done in yesterday's class. So in yesterday's class, we have tried to go a little bit ahead on CIDR ranges, and then we have defined that there are three ranges which are reserved for private IP usage. And what we have done is we have tried to create networks and subnets, basically depending on the sizes. We have done some exercises around that, and I hope you have also tried to do the same thing. And at the end of the class, I have given you this exercise where we had a 7-story a building, and then we wanted to give basically a network with each floor getting one subnet. Okay, so have you guys tried this exercise? Was everyone successful, or do you want me to do it? Okay, so let us do this. Right. So I'll open Notepad. Network is 10.11.0.0/16, and we know that this would come to a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. So if you look at this network is capable of approximately 65,000 devices, and the ask is definitely less than 65,000. So this is a very legitimate network. Okay, this is a very legitimate network. Let us basically come through it now. 500 devices, basically, we know that for 500 devices, the n value, 2 power n, approximately equivalent to 500, will come to 9. So our subnet value would be 10.11. Okay, let me add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7. And after this, we will have a 0, but the problem is that falls under fixed bytes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is fixed part. We cannot change it. Yeah, right? Oh, sorry. This is, yeah, you are right, Nagaraj. This is not 255.255. This is, yes. You are right, Nagaraj. Yeah. Okay. Now, when we come to here, we can happily take, since there are no IP addresses that were being used, 10.11.0.0/23. Yes, that is your ground floor. Okay. And now, the first floor would be this, which would come to 10.11.2.0/23. This is your first floor. 10.11.4.0/23. That is your second floor. Right? 6.0. Third floor. 8.0. Fourth floor. 10.0. Fifth floor. Till here, our life is good. Okay. But over here, the challenge is, okay. Over here, the challenge is, okay. If you look at 10.0, what were the IP addresses which we have used? If I write it in binary notation, right? So let me try to convert 10 to binary. Decimal to binary. 10. Okay. 1010. So it comes to 1, 0, 1. Now the challenge which we have is, okay, 2 power 16, something like this. I'll open this Wikipedia page where we have this table which speaks about it. So for 5000, what would be the nearest value? 2 power 13, right? So if it is 13, then what are the digits which we would be losing? Okay. So this is gone. This will become 9. Okay. This is gone, right? This would become 9, but this has to be 0, 10, okay, 11. This becomes 12, and this becomes 13. Okay. And then I'll be changing this because there are some of the IP addresses that were used in this range. I'll basically use this as 1. Okay. Now, if you convert this to basically decimal, binary to decimal converter, and if you convert this 32. So basically 10.11.32.0 slash, what was the power of n which we were trying to do? It was 13. 32 minus 13 would give you 90. Okay. Now subnet mask is quite simple, right, sir? So subnet mask for this would be 255.254.0, and subnet mask for the sixth floor would be, okay, so 255 dot 255 dot, okay, 224.0. That's it. Yeah, till ground to fifth floor subnet mask is this. For the sixth floor subnet mask is this. That's it. So am I clear on this? Okay, you need not know this much kind of stuff generally on the cloud, but it is good if you know this, because sometimes you might be in need. Sometimes you might be in need. Okay, right. I'm getting some of the responses saying that you don't have audio. Is that true? Am I not audible to you? All right. Okay, good, good. Yeah. Right. So in the last class, we have spoken about now. If I try to tell you the sizes of the network, I'm quite sure that you would be able to resolve the sizes of your network and create multiple subnets. Is my assumption right now? Good. Now, if you remember, okay, we have started our network discussion by trying to tell that, okay, sorry. We have started our network discussion by trying to tell that if you have a device in a network, okay, a device in a network can connect to the other device as long as it is in the same network. Okay. But I'm quite sure that from your home you are able to ping google.com. Right now you are able to connect to webinar. Right. So is Google in your home or is it in your network? Definitely not, right? Google is definitely not in your network. Google is somewhere present in their own proprietary network. So how are you able to reach to Google? How are you able to reach to the Google? So understand this stuff. Okay. Let me write the answer of the previous question. Okay. Okay, let me write it down. Yeah. So basically, okay, whenever you want to send, okay, or whenever you want to connect two different networks. Okay. So basically in networking, what happens whenever you try to communicate from one system to other system, typically what tends to happen is your you will be trying to send some data, and the data is sent in the format of network packets. The data is sent in the network form of network packets, right? So if we want to send network packets from one network to other network, okay, then we need router. So is router is important now? Because networking principle tries to tell that you can able to communicate from one device to other device only if they belong to the same network. That means if they share the same network ID and they are physically connected, or we have wireless connections also these days. But the whole idea is they are connected to the same network. But when you want to send your packets from one network to other network, we need a router. And I'm quite sure in your home you have a router. Okay. And in the IP config, in the IP config, the default gateway is IP address of your router. Okay. Let us try to do the drill. Okay. I'm quite sure that we have done this. Okay. It is open. Command prompt is open. Okay. So if you look at my network connection, then what is the IP address of my router now? 192.168.0.1. Okay. So these days router generally comes with some kind of a unique interface also. If I type 192.168.0.1, it would open a web page. This is my router's configuration. Okay. So this is my router's web page. Right. So let us try to see how this routing or router comes into play. Let me try to save this image first. Right. Now, dot slash images slash vnet7.png. Good. So every router has set of rules which are called as route tables. Which are called as route tables. These route tables, okay, individual rules are basically also called as routes. These route tables define where the packets can be sent depending on destination. So understand one thing. Whenever we try to create any network packet, there are two things that will be definitely there in the network packet. One is the source, the other one is destination. Every networking packet will have source and destination. Now, in your router, you will have rules. Those rules are called as route tables or routes. These rules will try to tell whether you can forward the packet or you cannot forward the packet. So let us try to do a small example around it. So let me quickly create one simple network. Okay. So a router icon. So let us assume that this is your router. Okay. And to this router, you have a mobile phone connected, or Let me draw two mobile phones. Two mobile phone connectors. Okay. And then let us assume that you have one laptop connected. Okay. So whenever you connect any device to the Wi-Fi network, we get an IP address. Is that right or wrong? Yes, because if the device has to be part of your network, it has to have some kind of an IP address. So this IP range of this Wi-Fi router is 192.168.0.0/24. Let us assume this is the case. So that means that this device might get an IP address of 192.168.0.10, and this might get an IP address of 192.168.0.20. I'm just writing ad hoc IP addresses. Some routers give sequential IP addresses also. 192.168.0.30. Am I clear on this? And generally, if you understand your home internet connections, this router is externally connected, okay, to some kind of network modem. Yes. Okay. And this modem basically connects, okay, with something which we call an internet service provider. Internet service provider. Okay. And this service provider, we will be paying the amount so that he enables us communication with the internet. Is there any doubt here? Do you have any problem in this? Okay. So you have a Wi-Fi router, and generally Wi-Fi router is connected to some kind of a modem which basically connects you to internet. Is there any doubt in understanding? This is nothing but your home internet connection. Okay. Right. Now, generally your router also will get an IP address. So your router's IP address would be 192 dot, sorry, 192 dot, oh man, what is happening? 192.168.0.1. Okay. Right. Now, let us assume he wants to communicate. He wants to communicate. Okay. So he wants to communicate. Okay. So let me call it as a network packet. Your laptop wants to communicate. Okay. So he is sending the packet to 192 dot, let me try to change the font, 192.168.0.20. Okay. So this is your network packet. So where is he trying to send? 192.168.0.20. Now, if you understand the basic networking rule, okay, a device can communicate with any other device, okay, as long as they belong to the same network or they are connected to the same network. So, in this case, basically what happens is your packet will be forwarded directly to this machine. So, this is your one and this is your second step. Am I clear on this? A modem, we need not worry about it. Modem, whether it has an IP address or not, we are not least bothered about modem. Okay, right. So are we clear on this? This is internal communication. Okay. Right. So some of you people might know it very well, right? So when a device, okay, in a network tries to communicate with any other device in the same network, okay, the packets are forwarded directly using existing. So in your organization, we have wired infrastructure, or generally these days at homes, we have wireless infrastructure, right? Okay. Now, let us try to change the scenario. Okay. This guy wants to send the packet this time, okay, to, okay, 35.24.26.27. Sorry, seeing the IP address. Is this IP address part of same network? Okay. No. Right. Then basically what happens is this packet gets forwarded to your router. To your router. So in the router, basically what we have is we will have routes. We'll have routes. So let me use this. Right. This is something which I'll call as route table or routes. In the routes, if the packet is, okay, anything, okay, if the packet is anything, forward to modem. There is, let us assume there is some rule which says this. If the packet is anything other than your network range, anything other than your network range. Now basically what happens? This is step 1, this is step 2, and this becomes step 3. Yes or no? Am I clear on this now? So you are connecting to google.com because in your router there is a rule which says that if you are trying to forward a packet which doesn't belong to 192.168.0.0/24, forward it to the next connected network to your modem. To our modem, there is to our Wi-Fi router, there is only one cable that is connected. That cable is connected to your internet services provider. Okay. So basically, what happens when you try to do ping google.com? Okay. Ping google.com is first google.com's IP address is received. So receiving IP address, and this IP address is not belonging to your network. So this packet will be forwarded to your router. From there, it will be forwarded to other router. From there to other router till it reaches google.com. Till it reaches google.com. So am I clear with this flow, sir? So are routers important in networking? Routers are routing. Okay. Right. So when a device in a network tries to communicate with any other device from a different network, okay, packets are forwarded to the router. Router checks the route tables or routes and It forwards the packet. It forwards the packet to its connected network, for to reach to destination. Okay, so your packet might not be immediately connected to google.com. Try to understand that stuff. So whenever you try to tell ping google.com, this will not work out. So we can examine, okay, the different routers or networks touched when communicating to, okay, other networks IP addresses. Okay, so you can open command prompt and you can execute trace rt google.com. So what is it I've done? Trace rt google.com. So if you see, the first packet has gone to my D-Link router. From there to some my internet service provider. From there he has one more router. If you see, it is going through different networks. Okay, from there it reaches over somewhere over here. Okay, so are you saying there are different networks that are being touched? Okay, so your packet travels from one network to other network before it reaches google.com, and this process is called as hopping. Because your packet is traveling from one network to other network, we call it as hopping. Sorry, saying? So this is basically what has happened. Okay. Okay, right. .png. Am I clear on this, sir, now? Okay. So do we understand this concept of routing now? Yeah. So in your organization, to connect to your lab network from your workstation network, since they are two different networks altogether, you will have some kind of router that will be in place, which forwards the packets from one subnetwork to other subnetwork. Am I clear on this? That is the reason why you will have a data center in your organization which is connected to some routers and all that stuff. Okay. So we also come across, even though we don't use it in Azure, but basically in your organizations you will have one more networking device which is called a switch. Switch is basically to extend. If you get one network connection, from that you can give multiple network connections. So for example, if you have 4 systems to connect, okay, so you can take a switch. Into that switch, you will plug in one network cable and it can give you 4 extension points or 8 extension points, whatever it is, depending on what you are trying to do. Okay, right, good. Now, we are able to basically understand this aspect now. So how our home networks are working. Now, this is good. But how about Azure? In Azure, if I want to create a networking, what did it sound like? Right? Basically, whenever I'm configuring my home network or an office network, I have to deal with lot of devices. But will I be doing the same thing, or a lot of devices, a lot of cables and all of that stuff? Will I be doing the same thing when it comes to Azure Virtual Network? Let us find out. Okay. So let us try to do it. Okay. So generally, what happens is, uh, there is one question from Rakesh Sharma. If google.com is not pingable from source IP, what will be the issue? So then your router will try to send a packet which will never reach the destination. Probably that could be due to some of your router is broken. Okay. So if you don't have an internet connection, that means that there is no connection from your router to reach to the public internet, right? To reach to public internet. That means there is some route in between that is broken. Okay. Am I clear on this, Rakesh? Okay, good. Now, let us try to look into what is that we end up doing in uh, Azure. Okay, so how about networks in Azure? Okay, so generally a conventional network engineer, okay, deals with physical, okay, I'll call it as assets, okay, such as routers, switches, firewalls, cables, etc. to build infrastructure. Do you agree to this point? This is a very simple point. Okay, right? So, and generally, what the network engineer basically does is at a logical layer. Okay, this is for the people who come from networking background. If you are not from a networking background, forget about it. I am not writing anything. At a logical layer, you might have configured. Okay, uh, something like VLAN. Okay, spanning tree. Okay, some of the routing protocols. Okay, so generally we have routing protocols like RIP, OSPF, BGP, etc. Okay, so for managing this network, okay, we use network management tools and some CLIs like traceroute and all other stuff. Okay, so networking in the cloud is different. Okay, why? Because you the whole idea is your endpoints are your network endpoints. Okay, you don't use cables, are logical, and use of routing protocols is minimum. So very rarely you would end up using a routing protocol. Okay, so basically what you do in Azure is you will not touch even a single networking cable. You would basically try to create every asset which is logical. When I say logical, it is virtual. Okay, so when we plan to deploy our applications to Azure, we start by creating a logical boundary, a logical boundary in Azure, which is something we call as virtual network. Am I clear on this? So you will create your own boundary, which we call as virtual network. All right. So you don't need any physical assets. Okay. Any physical stuff. Okay. But we still need to plan for logical entities such as IP addresses, subnets, routing, and there will be some policies which would. All right. So basically, whenever you try to whenever you want to connect your application in Azure, we don't create anything which is physical. We create something which is virtual. Okay. Right. Am I clear with this point? Yes, sir. Is there any doubt? So we need not worry about the physical infrastructure, like whether it is OSPF, BGF, spanning tree. That is all Cisco stuff, right? Network engineering stuff. But when it comes to Azure, what we do is we try to create a physical, generally we don't create a physical network boundary, but we create a logical network boundary. And that logical network boundary is something which we call as virtual network, which we call as virtual network. Am I clear on this? Okay. So before I get into the additional concepts of what is NIC and all of that stuff, what we would try to do is, okay, let's create, okay, a virtual network, okay, with 4 subnets in Azure using portal. Shall we do this? Right? So let me log in into Azure. Okay, I'm logging into Azure portal. Okay. So in Azure, okay, whenever you are working, we need to understand these steps. Okay. So what we create in Azure is resource. And in Azure, every resource has to belong to a group. Okay. Which is called as resource group. Okay. So the scope of logical network boundary. Okay. The scope of logical network boundary in VNet. Okay. So when I say VNet, it is virtual network. Is region. If you remember, region. So the meaning of the statement is the virtual network which we create in Azure, okay, will be in one and only one region. Am I clear on this? So for example, if you want to create a network which is basically in Mumbai or South India, like Chennai, you can do that. But if you want to say that, okay, I want to have a network which is in Chennai and Pune also, then virtual network cannot do that. Virtual network means it is a network boundary within a region. Am I clear with the statement, sir? Okay. So if you want to create a network in Pune and network in Chennai, then what you are trying to do is you are trying to have 2 different networks, and then you establish some kind of communication between those 2 networks. Okay. We deal multi-region networks, right? So as 2 different networks, and in one region also you can have multiple networks. Okay. It is not that you are supposed to have one network. Okay. And there is no pricing involved for creating a virtual network, right? So no price involved for creating a VNet. So when I say VNet, virtual network. So shall we get started? So this is my Azure's landing page, home page. The first thing which I would end up doing is I would create a resource group. I'll click on this. Okay. So in this, for the people who are looking at Azure for the first time, if you click on this, you would see this create a resource, and then you would have your favorite stuff. If you see, you'll have virtual networks over here. Okay. So let me go to the home. Okay. You can create resources in Azure from multiple places. Are you seeing create a resource? You can do this, or you can go over here and then type virtual, and then are you seeing you are getting virtual networks, right? So Azure also helps you with the resources which you use a lot in the top. Okay. So from here also you can create. So let me go to home. Let me select all services. Okay. So even though there are a lot of options, I'll try to show you, right? All services. Let me save that image. 11. Okay. Now, in the all services, okay, basically you will see your resources, but you can go to subsection also. You can go to subsections also, but let us not do that. Okay. So let me try to select a virtual network from here. Okay. So you create, if you want to create anything in Azure, the story is same. Virtual networks. And if you want to create a virtual network from here, then you have two options. You can either go with add over here, or you are seeing create virtual network. Both will do the same job for you. Okay. So let me try to say create virtual network. So then it is asking, do you want to create a resource group? Okay. I would say that I would want to create a resource group. Right. This is the first thing which I would expect you to do. Right. Or else if you already have resource groups, you can select from here also. Right. If you already have some group, okay, and you don't want to create a new resource group, fine. So I would say create new resource group, and then I would call it as VNet learning. Okay, fine. Let me use this image. This is better. Right. And then it is asking what is your virtual network's name. My virtual network's name will be Hello VNet. Then it is asking in which region do you want this network. Okay. So I'll be selecting East US. I'll be selecting East US. Am I clear on this? Okay. So I've given a name. Okay. And then I'll be basically going to next. I'll be going to next. So fine. And in this, by default, what Azure tries to give you is it will try to give a network with a range of 10.0.0.0/16. This is a default network range, right? So by default, okay, these are default settings, but we are going to change it. Okay. So these are default settings. By default, the network range of Azure is this, and it creates one subnet with a range of this. Okay. So by default, what Azure is trying to tell? By default, what is it trying to tell? Okay. It is trying to tell that your network range is 10.0.0.0/16, right? And your subnet's name is default and it has the range of this. But what we wanted was we wanted to create one network with 4 subnets. So what I would do is I'll try to change this. I'll try to call it as 192.168.0.0/16. Am I clear on this? So this is the first thing which I have basically changed. Okay. So let me finish this, guys, before you ask questions, right? Okay. And then the next thing which I would do is I would click on add subnet. I'll click on add subnet. Okay. Right. So I would say that I want to add a subnet. And then it will ask me what is your subnet? My subnet 1. So the network range would be 192.168.0.0/24. Okay. So don't worry about the other options which I am not speaking about today, right? Generally, the people who come from testing background have this strange concept of trying to select everything. Okay. Don't test this. This is already tested software. We are trying to learn this. We are not trying to test this web page. Okay. Right. So now subnet 1. Okay, I've clicked on add subnet. Okay, so let me try to go with this. Okay, so in the same way, I'll try to add a rest of the other subnets. Subnet 2. Okay, so in subnet 2, let me try to give the same range 192.168.0.0/24. Let us see what is the error which we get. It tries to tell that the IP address which you are trying to give, is already taken by one more subnet. Okay, so here you will have some validation. So I'll use 1.0. Subnet 3 192.168.2.0/24. Okay, and let me add one more subnet. Subnet 4. Okay, since this is private network range, there is no problem of we are losing IP addresses and all of that stuff. Okay, but if you take public internet, then that might be a costly affair for you if you waste your IP addresses. Now, if you look into this, we have created 4 networks or 4 subnets. Okay, I created 4 subnets. Okay, right, and then I'll go into next. So for now, we'll not do anything in security. Okay, so let me save this. Okay, I'll not do anything, but I'll just try to have a cap screen notes over here. Okay, so then go to next. Okay, this is just because we need to know the options, right? Tomorrow when you come and understand this stuff, you need to basically look into what are the options which we have seen. Okay, but there is no need for you to remember this UI. I'm basically trying to show you these options because when you work out, you would be seeing the similar screens, right? So Azure probably in the next 1 month might change this UI completely. So we never know. Yeah. Review and create. So it will do the validation. It will do the validation. And when the validation is passed, you would see create button is enabled. It is trying to tell you that this is the information which you are trying to create. Okay. So this is the information which Azure has given you. And then you click on create. And then you click on create. Right. So let me click on create. Now Azure will try to basically start doing the job for you. Okay. So the moment you say create, Azure will try doing this. Okay. Right. So man, there are loads of images then which I need to add. Let me try to look into it. 11. Yeah. Fine. Let me try to put all of those screen captures. Okay. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Right. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and then 22. Right? So, after some time, okay, once your network resource has been created, then you would be seeing a notification something like this. And then here I'd be clicking on go to resource. So this becomes your, okay, so let me click on go to resource. So this is your virtual network. This is your virtual network which got created. Okay. So if you remember, we have called it as Hello VNet. Okay. So our range was 192.168.0.0/16. Okay. Now let us look into the subnets. So if you remember, we have created 4 subnets. Okay, there are other areas also, but it's okay. We are just new into this world. Today is the first network which we have created. So subnets, and then you are seeing all the 4 subnets. Am I clear on this? Okay, that's it. We have created a network. As simple as this. So is it not simple to create network in Azure? Okay. So in this network now I'll be adding probably a database, probably a virtual machine, right? And my virtual machine will get an IP address, right? So if you basically look into it, there are many things that happen over here. So there is something concept called as address space. There is DNS servers. We need to get into all of this. We need to get into all of this. But the whole idea is, am I able to create a network? And now when I create a network, when I enter this 192.168.0.0/16, 192.168.0.0/24, we don't have any confusion, right? Yes, we understand that CIDR terms now. Right, great. Okay, Satyakrishna, you have asked me a question. Instance name means it is VNet name. Yes, sir. In that UI, whenever it was asking for instance name, it was a virtual network's name. All right. Yeah. You can obviously do this from command line, but we have not gone that far. All right. So we have not basically spoken about command line yet. You can do this from command line. You can write code to do this. You can do this from PowerShell. Right. There are many ways of creating the same network. But first, let us learn conceptually, and then we would go to all the other worlds. Okay. Clear on this, sir? Good. So today, your exercise is try creating one virtual network. Okay. And in that virtual network, try to create this building. Remember yesterday's exercise? Yeah. So in yesterday's exercise, I have given you 7-floor building and all of that stuff. Okay. So your exercise, try to create virtual network in Azure. Okay. As mentioned below. So I want you to create a virtual network which has 7 subnets. Can you guys do that? First you create a normal one, then you try doing this. Okay, sir. Right. Okay. Oh, tomorrow is Saturday, is it? Okay. See, tomorrow and day after tomorrow, our classes will be same time. There is no change in timings. Okay. And for the people who have already attended my Docker classes, there are some Kubernetes classes that are pending. So for you people, okay, this is only for the people who have attended my Docker classes. There are some people in the room who have not attended it yet. So for you, there is no class. So tomorrow, right, Saturday and Sunday, 6:30 to 7:30. Okay, we would have Azure. Okay, 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. IST. Okay, and this is for the people who have already attended my Kubernetes classes. If you have joined newly, this is not for you. From 6 to 9 p.m. we would have Kubernetes. Clear on this? This is also both Saturday and Sunday. Okay. And one more thing, from Monday, okay, 6:15 to 7:30 p.m. I am starting Python classes. Okay. So anyway, we have 5 to 6 p.m. of Linux Foundation. Okay. After that, we will start Windows there. But the whole idea is for the people who want to learn Python, you have these timings. Right, sir? So I think I'll stop it at that. Okay. Are we clear with the class timings? No, the classes are same. Weekends will not have class timings because if you see, my schedule is fully. You might be having time, sir, but unfortunately, I don't have a time. Right. So our Linuxes and Python classes will generally be on weekdays, not on weekends. Okay. Right. Thank you, sir. Thanks for your time.